Hi Geminis, happy birthday. Wow, what a solar return you guys are having this year, whether it's your sun or you're here for your moon or your ascendant, whatever it is that led you to this reading for Gemini. It's being highlighted not just during Gemini season, but you now own the North Node. So there's intense karmic energy being pulled towards you for the next 2 years. I like to explain the North Node to people as a form of karmic energy that is meant to set you on your path. Now, the South Node being in Sag at the beginning of this new eclipse cycle for us, there's a lot of changes in your environment regarding partnerships. The South Node in the 7th being in the sign of Sag, where you probably, for most of your life, there's been a seeking of freedom within your relationships. Now that could play out as commitment issues, being afraid to commit, being afraid to really encounter unity with others, be it through trust issues or just a feeling like being in a relationship or having a heavy commitment will hold you down. And with the South Node there, we have to change our perspectives. Now is the time to not look so much at the bigger picture and kind of gain focus in the present moments. As I started to meditate on your energy and pull the cards, I felt, which is typical for me because I have a lot of earth and a lot of water. So when I get into the air energy, I do normally feel a bit jittery. But I do believe that this is more of my Gemini energy coming through to me. There's a nervousness. There's a vulnerability that I feel like you're working your way through it, but there's a lot of work to be done here, that there's a rather large mission that you're on to clear some parts of yourself that have held you back in certain ways regarding your relationships. Now, we have Mars in Pisces moving through your 10th house. If this is not relationship-based reading, then apply it to a job or an opportunity that you're looking at as well. Because I think what you're being asked is to kind of look into the long term, and it's really not about controlling. Now, I know I just said, focus on the present and don't look so much at the bigger picture. That's so that you stay flexible. But the universe is looking at the bigger picture. The universe is going to do that work for you. So it would be a really good idea with Mars in Pisces in your 10th house to begin to let go. The longer we fight with Mars and Pisces, the longer we try to control situations, control other people's actions or opinions, as long as we're kind of in this PR mode, we're just taking away the power of the universe to clear our paths and bring in what is destined to us. So I like the fluidity and the easiness that you come out with this month. But there's a duality, of course, with Gemini between your ability to be a little bit breezy, go with the flow, and be in the moment. Your environment is a Chariot, meaning you may actually feel stuck. Now, the Chariot card does talk about movement, but I'm going to bring these two cards up first. Page of Swords and the Chariot. this is a duality. You may be very open-minded at this time. You know, we're looking at things when we're in a page mode, kind of like the curiosity of a child. So if you put yourself in kind of the emotional realm of a child in regards to the way that you approach situations or other people, there's just an airiness. You know, and children don't worry about how other people are going to react to the things that they say. You know, I'm always taken back to, you know, I think we've all been in situations, if you're a parent or, you know, you've been around small children, they tend to just say things. And as a parent, we could always be like, oh my God, I can't believe they just said that. Or, you know, we're a little bit more inhibited, and a child will just come out and say whatever it is that they're thinking. And the universe wants you to use that communication skill to just be able to say the things that you're thinking and communicate. I think that you're going to gain a lot of clarity this month through conversations with others. And it's going to be lighthearted conversations that might actually change your perspective in ways. Now, we have Venus retrograde in Gemini, squaring Neptune. And Neptune can kind of put this black cloak over stuff because Neptune makes things hazy. Sometimes, especially in these transits, the cloak can be lifted and we begin to see the truth. The Chariot card is about balance, and balance is a recurring theme throughout your 9-card block as well, with the Two of Swords and the Lover's card coming out, and the Chariot, again, a symbol of black and white. Yes, the Chariot represents the need and the want to move. There's a healing component to the Chariot, but in the Rider-Waite deck, he is stuck in place. There's no wheels on his cart. They're being held with giant stones. And these stones can represent our beliefs and how they need to mesh together or to be balanced out. Remember that in the grand scheme of things, there are really only two places that a person can operate from, and that is love or fear. And everything boils down to the choice between love and fear. Whatever situation you may be in, you have to look at it in that way. Whether you're accepting a new job, starting a new cycle, ending a relationship, starting a new relationship. We have so many retrogrades, so things are coming up from the past. We have to balance that out, and we have to really, again, Page of Swords, we have to get curious about ourselves, about our self-conscious. We have Chiron and Uranus going through your 12th house in Taurus, and we're just leaving Taurus season, meaning you've been through a period where those things have kind of been triggered. Maybe there was a loss of job that kind of took you back to a place where you didn't feel like you were in control and you couldn't support yourself. Maybe you were in a karmic relationship that triggered wounds of abandonment issues that you've carried since a child. And believe me, these were all set in place so that you could work through the energy. Working through the energy is finding the balance. So if you're accepting a new job and you have a lot of thoughts in your mind of reasons why this might not work out, you just have to ask yourself, is this thought coming from a place of love or a place of fear? Pluto is retrograde. Saturn is retrograde. Jupiter is retrograde. Venus is retrograde. We have all been through this enormous transformation process, and now the planets are testing you, karmically testing you to see if you're ready to start the new cycles, to see if you're willing to close out certain old cycles to welcome the new things in. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean things have to end. You know, you might be married to somebody for 20 years, and the marriage might be rocky right now. You might be going through hard times. The Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto conjunction in your 8th house all talked about your level of intimacy and investment in relationships. 7th house is the relationship, but 8th house is how we connect to it. That's how we actually put our resources together. It's the putting together of resources and the sharing and the trust. It's deep psychological things coming to the surface in the 8th house and how we're willing to share and commit to others. So this has all been under a great transformation. And your 8th house is still going to be an extremely important component throughout the rest of this year. And so if you've been with somebody for 20 years, and yes, things might seem rough, but no, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to walk away from the marriage. It just means that you have grown, your partner has grown, and now there's a readjustment period. It could also symbolize the end of a relationship if it wasn't good for you, if it didn't serve a greater purpose for you, if it kept you in a mentality of fear. Now, I'm not saying that you're in a relationship where you're being abused, but the fear creeps up when you cannot trust somebody, when you cannot communicate with somebody, when you are not able to be yourself around somebody. And I think those themes have to change, and whether or not the new relationships or the old relationships come with us, they have to be able to fit in this new box that we've created. The Chariot, we've created a new environment for ourselves, and we're picking and choosing what we're bringing into it and what we're leaving behind. That's a lot of what you're going to be going through, definitely for June, and I would definitely say June through September and maybe even October. This year in particular, November and December may end up being beautiful and peaceful months because of the level of work that we've put into ourselves the first 10 months of the year. So yes, 2020 overall feels heavy. Center of your reading, 10 of Wands. There's heaviness still, although things are lightening up for a lot of us. And there's an overall feeling we're coming out of lockdown, although that Venus-Neptune square, I think there's a lot of us that are still very fearful. There's a lot of, we want to move, we want to celebrate, we want to be with people, but the responsible thing to do is to still keep a certain level of social distancing. There's such a duality in this because we want to connect, and yet we want to protect. Here's your theme. You want to connect with people, but you want to protect yourself and your loved ones, and that is what you are working through. And you're working through what is truth, what is fear, and what is love. Again, the work is going to come, the feeling of heaviness is going to come when you resist. If you are resisting in any way, if there's relationships you're holding on to even though you know they have to go, they don't serve you and they're blocking a pathway to your destiny, your karma, your place in this world. And that could be a scary place. But the universe wants you to know that you have the tools and they know what you want. And right now, being trusting, being in this Page of Swords mentality means that you're open. that you're listening, you're hearing, you're talking. There's no attachment, there's no expectation, there's no need to control others at this time. You know, it's important to understand that we are all on our individual paths right now. And the planets, and the way that they are aligned at this time, we have never seen anything like this in lifetimes, in eras. You know, thousands and thousands of years, the earth has not been under this tremendous amount of change. We all know that change has to occur. And it's difficult because in the first couple of months, and especially in June, there's going to feel like there's a lot of options, there's a lot of doubt, there's a lot of noise in our minds as we try to, you know, absorb all of the new information that comes to us. If you're watching the news a lot, I suggest turning it off because you're probably not going to find truth there. There's a need for truth. Truths are being delivered and then we have to adapt to them. Yes. And this is why it's so important to determine what we're doing out of love and what we're doing out of fear. Knight of Swords. This is always my delivery of truth. I don't feel like this is you. I feel like this is a partner or a friend. It's someone in your life delivering a truth to you. The Knight of Swords has a way of really rushing in and showing you something that you have to look at. If this is a person representing a partner, they may come off as harsh or maybe even a little desperate. This could be somebody, again, we're in retrograde phases, so somebody from your past that comes back and they want to talk about their experience with you. Maybe they need healing, they need understanding, or maybe you are trying to search for a greater understanding between yourself and past relationships. This could also be a job, and I say that because it comes out next to the Five of Pentacles in reverse and next to the Lovers. So the first, I want to say 10 days of June, in the 9-card block, when I look at it, the first 3 cards represent, you know, the first third of the month and that energy. Knight of Swords, Five of Pentacles in reverse, and the Lovers card is all about regaining balance, understanding the unity. And when I tell you you're going through a lot of 8th house stuff, this could be financial issues with a loved one. It could be intimacy issues with a loved one as well. And the Five of Pentacles in reverse means that you're coming out of a period of feeling like you were abandoned, feeling like you were left out of something, overlooked, feeling like you were not important. You know, it kind of gives you that element of victimization. Now, the Knight of Swords can also be our thoughts. It could also be a lot of noise in our head. Like I talked about, there's a lot of contemplation about how we go into relationships, allowing other people to trigger this sense of abandonment that we have. You know, if you go into relationships feeling like you always get let down, feeling like somebody always leaves, or feeling like you always have to leave, you know, that's being changed in these first couple of days. There's major adjustments here in the way that you approach partnerships and unions and the balance within yourself. Now, the Knight of Swords might represent you telling somebody that you are no longer going to tolerate a certain behavior because it triggers these wounds within you. That's great. Being able to talk about it, like I said, that Page of Swords, and if you're coming through as a Knight of Swords, you know, it's important. It's brought up this feeling within you, and you have to discuss it in order for you to come out of that fear. So again, fear or love, it looks like the first third of the month, we are stepping out of that fear place. The second third of the month, and remember, this is eclipse season, so sudden things can happen. That Knight of Swords could really be an eclipse moment. And then moving in after that, after you receive that truth and you take that truth and you heal yourself. You know, I don't know why I'm coming up with this situation in, you know, maybe realizing that you're attracted to relationships where people don't respect your heart. They don't make you feel treasured. They don't make you feel worthy. And it's a continual struggle to get them to allow you inside, or to get them to really understand you at a more intimate level. And I think there's enough truth or enough communication that comes out for you to be vulnerable enough to talk about it, to understand it yourself, to maybe gain the greater perspective of why you're in these situations. I do always say that, you know, we attract a lot of the times, not all of the time, because there's always exceptions. You know, we could be an empath, and then sometimes an empath will often attract an energy vampire or a narcissist just out of, you know, that attraction level. But a lot of times, if we're entering into relationships when we're not feeling so great about ourselves, then we attract people that see us like that, that see, that treat us like that, that highlight that in us. And relationships have to be able to transform and grow with you. So if you're in a relationship or you're struggling with a relationship, and again, this could be a job that doesn't fit you, it doesn't fit your values, you know, because I get that self-worth thing, and that's all being adjusted right now because you can't proceed. If they're not willing to grow and come up with you and meet you at this new and improved level, if they're going to continually try to remind you of ways that you may have failed yourself or them in the past, that's not a healthy relationship. That's toxic. And I don't think Geminis want to operate, and they don't have the energy to be in toxic relationships anymore. Going into the second third of the month is when that energy really starts to take form. Truths may be delivered and conversations may be occurring, but I believe it's in the second middle part of June in which things really come to fruition. And this could go in two different directions as well. You have the 10 of Cups, the 10 of Wands, and the King of Cups. This is beautiful, even though it might be extremely difficult. Ten of Wands representing the things that no longer serve us. It's that feeling burdened. If you're in a relationship or you're entering a job and you're feeling like, I just can't do this anymore. It's just too hard. It's too much to bear. There's too much responsibility. You're feeling overwhelmed. This could represent King of Cups. There's a Scorpio in your life or another water sign. You know, this could be either a time in which you release burdens and these thoughts that keep holding you down, holding you back. The Ten of Wands is kind of where we put out our own fire. I'm gonna cover this in depth in a minute, but you did pull a Saturn card, and when I see Saturn come through with that Ten of Wands, it really is all about this responsibility that's being asked of you. But Saturn can also be that voice in your head, and it depends what sign your Saturn's in. Mine is in Virgo, so I really do suffer from this. It's a voice in your head that says you can't do this. You're not qualified. You're not, you're not good enough for this person. That it's that voice in your head that you really have to let go of, and you have to be in that Page of Swords light. You have to lighten things up. If you are hoping to get to a Ten of Cups, that point in your life where, because I think most Geminis are good. I feel like the money's good. I feel like you're stable. The Chariot, that you're okay on your own. You're in a good place. Things tend to get messier when you involve others, when we're looking at our relationships. And the Ten of Cups is kind of that ultimate happiness. It's a husband, the wife, the kids, the home, everything's wonderful. And the King of Cups can represent kind of a level of stoicism. The King of Cups, I love the King of Cups because he's so emotionally balanced. He's so stoic. He doesn't try to control other people because he knows that we're all on our own path. And he knows that if his cup is full, if he honors himself, the rest all falls into place. He doesn't have to beg anybody to love him or to give him attention. He simply fulfills it himself. When others disappoint him, it's simply a reflection of others. It has nothing to do with him. It's not personal, right? When people hurt us, when they disappoint us, when they leave us, it's really not personal. It's about their life, their path, their journey, what they're choosing, what they want this lifetime to be about. They don't have to stay with us forever. They are not legally bound to us, although, if you are in a marriage situation, you may be legally bound. That doesn't mean that you have to spend your life in an unhappy place. Things can change. You could let things go. If you're struggling with a relationship where you continually feel burdened, sadness, struggle, the universe and the eclipses will tell you it's okay to let it go. That ultimately the letting go of this and being in a place of the King of Cups where you just emotionally know that everything's going to be fine, that's your Ten of Cups. The Ten of Cups just comes to you once you've inherited, again, making decisions out of love. Now, if you are resisting being in a relationship, if you are in love with somebody but too afraid of vulnerability in order to say it or speak it, if you're unsure of the way that they are feeling, and you continue to go about not communicating, not talking, not telling you, or not telling others, or somebody not telling you what they need. King of Cups does not do that. The King of Cups, upright, is not manipulative. He's unconditional love. So the burden there is that you refuse to talk about your feelings because you refuse to be vulnerable. And you need to let go of that. And you need to connect more with your heart, the heart chakra. Because the burdens are blocking you from understanding what your 10 of Cups is. Now, the 10 of Cups and the Knight of Swords and the 9 of Wands, you see you have a lot of 9s and 10s. This is all about ending cycles. It's all about ending old ways in order to start the new ways. Now, that could be in the same relationship, or it could be in a new relationship. But the 10 of Cups between the Knight of Swords and the 9 of Wands tells me you need to release that feeling of being so protective of yourself, of being so protective of what you have. There's a real theme here about the need to be able to share. Letting down those walls is your way to true fulfillment, to the 10 of Cups. Communicating, not being afraid to say the things you need to say, to talk about the feelings, letting your guard down, letting go of expectations, and just living from truth. Loving yourself in order to love others better. That's the karmic lesson that's happening, and it's not easy. And it may not be over in June. Like I said, this could be the themes that happen from, June through September. 5 of Pentacles in reverse, 10 of Wands in reverse, and the 2 of Swords in reverse. You are letting go of control. You cannot control situations. You can't make something bigger than it truly is meant to be. And you can't diminish something that's meant to be extremely important in your life. Releasing the need to know all of the answers and just being free. Because you have the Lovers, the King of Cups, and the 6 of Cups. Page of Swords. The whole mission is about releasing the need to control yourself and others and making sure that everybody is in their place. If you just let go, especially during these eclipse seasons, remember we're going to have eclipses in your 1st house, your 7th house, and your 2nd house, which reflects the self-worth, the self-love, what you want to invest in. And it's all reflecting that 8th house, Jupiter and Pluto retrograde, which are power struggles over how you share and how you're vulnerable. And the lesson is to go back to this childlike place where you don't have to control people and you're not in fear, and you could view love in a very beautiful, nurturing way. And when you're there, you attract that kind of love to you. And this is soulmates. This is karmic contracts with people. And it's healing and it's openness. It really is beautiful. That's a beautiful energy, and I really think that's where you guys are headed. Your animal cards came out. the two energies that I got is that you're merging from a wolf energy to a tiger energy. And this is fantastic because the wolf is very intelligent, right? The wolf is hypersensitive and it's very protective. You know, it moves in packs. Everybody on the same team, but in that element, it's controlling. It's the need to control what others are doing. Even if this situation reflects a child in your life, there may be power struggles because you want them to be a certain way and you're not willing to accept and love them and let them grow into what they want to be, what their heart is, what their path is. Same thing with a partner. If your partner is changing and growing and you're feeling uncertain about it, you have to release control because you're stepping into the tiger energy. This is an ultimate feminine energy. The tiger is a state of focus and trust in the unknown. The page talks about the ability to operate through intuition in the darkness. And it's not being afraid of the unknown. You can't keep things the same and then complain because it doesn't go anywhere. The Chariot. If you are asking for change and growth in your relationships, you have to allow it to change and grow. And that's what a loving relationship is. Trying to keep things the same, trying to keep control over situations keeps us stagnant. You just got to work on trust in that universe, and especially during eclipse time, because we really don't have a choice. And yes, you pulled that Saturn card of truth. Now, Saturn is retrograding right now, making a beautiful trine to the new moon that occurred in Gemini. And then it's doing this funny thing during the retrograde period because it starts out trining so nicely with your energy, and Saturn is making a trine to Venus. So there's growth here. It's very slow. Saturn is very slow moving because we have to learn lessons. And Saturn won't let you progress until you've learned the lessons and made the adjustments. So trust me, if there's an area of your life that's feeling stagnant, it's because you're not willing to make the changes. But it's funny, you pulled the truth card there as well. With all these swords, there's a lot of communication, and you might be getting a lot of communication from others, and it might actually feel kind of bullying or overwhelming. Like, you might get a series of people that come in your life and they say, well, you know, you always do things this way, and I just want you to know that sometimes that hurts my feelings. And then you kind of have to take a second and go, oh, I do that. I should work on that. And then, you know, you have a conversation with, you know, a partner or a really close friend, and then they point out something else that you do. These are things that you might not see, and others are calling your attention to this month and saying there's a lot of introspection there. You're gaining a lot of wisdom from outside sources, and you're taking it within and saying, how do I make it better? How do I make me better? If you ask the universe to say, show me my blockages and help me find a way to fix them, it certainly will be delivered. You know, if those were any form of your intentions for this new moon period, that's what Saturn's going to show you. It's going to bring you teachers, and these teachers are probably just friends or co-workers or partners that are trying to get you to see how things can be done differently, and you could be more vulnerable, and you could let that love in your life. And then the Oracle card you got. Most of life will unfold in accordance with forces far outside your control, regardless of what your mind says about it. What did I say? Let go of the resistance. The universe is putting things in place because it is your destiny. Make the best of it. Grow. Use this energy because it's so, so wonderful. Now, because it's your birthday, the video is going to be a little bit longer because I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just clarify a couple of these cards. I am going to use a romance tarot of sexual magic to kind of clarify this for you. I always do this for your birthday bonuses. So let's take a look and clarify this. I'm not going to clarify all of them because I really feel like this is pretty clear. And when I do general readings, that's how it has to come out. You know, I'm not honing in on a certain person's energy. So collectively, this could play out in jobs, with your kids, with your partners. When I clarify, it'll get a little bit clearer. Okay. Knight of Swords, clarified by the Justice card. There needs to be balance within a relationship. Yeah. 5 of Pentacles, clarified, in reverse, clarified by the 2 of Wands. And let's take a look at that Lover's card. Okay, it's not actually giving me a clarifier for the Lover's card, and I think it's because it is an extremely clear message here. There's communication coming in regarding balancing out a relationship, and it's coming to me as a level of karmic justice. There needs to be reciprocity within a job or a relationship. And, you know, it takes 2 people investing together, that 2 of Wands, that making plans together for the future, talking about your dreams and what you desire. And the 5 of Pentacles in reverse means you're coming out of a place where you didn't feel like you could talk about that. You know, so there's a balancing there. And yeah, it's all about the communication to balance this out. And it's the ability to talk about each other's intentions. Where do you see this going? Oh yeah, it's that conversation for sure. All right, let's talk about this 10 of Cups. Ten of Cups, 9 of Cups. Yeah, that's what I said. I think you guys are good. Like, you're good on your own. I'm not picking up codependency issues. Oh my gosh, this is so funny. This is why I love tarot. It just never fails. So the 10 of Cups clarified by the 9 of Cups, meaning that you have to be in a situation in which you feel love for yourself before you could give to others and have enough to share. So you're being asked to master that 9 of Cups place in order to receive the 10 of Cups. This is about asking for what you need, investing in yourself, taking care of yourself, nurturing the relationship, and the process of it, nurturing yourself, because that's reflected in your relationship. And then the 10 of Wands is clarified by the 9 of Wands. Same thing. I think you're in a place where you feel like you're carrying all the burdens or all of the weight or all the uncertainty in the relationship. And that needs to be balanced out. So you both can come from a place of knowing exactly what you want and what you desire. and how to get from doing it by yourselves into merging into doing it together. Very interesting. Whoa. King of Cups. The Hermit. Okay. So somebody, you or the other person, has been pulling back. You know, again, I see that lack of communication, and that's what's being solved. There's a feeling like missing out, of not understanding what love is supposed to be, and that might be the reason why these two people come together. One person may be learning how to love themselves, and the other person may be learning how to love others. And you come together to master that. Yeah, so this Nine of Wands clarified by the Moon. There's information coming, eclipses coming. Again, that eclipse in your second house, I feel like that's what that is. Eight of Wands. Let's get one for this Six of Cups. Oh, I really love this reading. What is the Six of Cups, Spirit? Two of Pentacles and the Ten of Wands. Okay, so the moon energy clarifying this Nine of Wands is kind of like I talked about with the tiger energy of being able to operate in this place of darkness and still be able to be vulnerable, to say the things that you need to say, to connect the way that you want to connect, to allow yourself. And you see one person has a wine glass that they're holding up, and the other woman has a mirror. And there's a picture of I think it's a lobster. And he's kind of reaching in the shell and grabbing out a pearl. So I feel like it starts to change, and you start to let your guard down, and, you know, the other person's going to respond. They're going to reflect off of you. So if you come from a place of being vulnerable and open and honest, and the other person will mirror that as well. Two of Swords in reverse, clarified by the Eight of Wands, which is, again, transformation and balance. It's not feeling trapped. You don't feel trapped. It's that emotional vulnerability. You make the decision. I don't know what this eclipse is going to bring in. This could be a big moment for you guys. You know, it could be a declaration of love, or that you want to offer that to somebody else. And the Six of Cups is that Ten of Wands and the Two of Pentacles. It's something that you want very much, that you desire. The Ten of Wands. I think there's a surprise. There's a surprise. There might be somebody coming back from the past, Gemini, or a situation coming back from the past that kind of startles you, regarding somebody who may have been I don't know, watching you. I don't pick it up in a creepy way, but somebody that's just been kind of assessing the situation, and then they really open up and they go after what they desire. And that could be that moon energy and that 8 of Wands. This could be a transformation within the relationship and a balancing of what's coming. This is beautiful. All right, gems. I really appreciate your time today. I really do hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful month of June. I hope you get a chance to celebrate your birthday, to celebrate yourself. If you're interested, it's always a good time to log on to astro.com and you could run a solar return chart. And, even if you kind of Google, whatever your planets are doing and kind of take a look at it, those will be the themes for the year. So I always advise people to kind of look at the energy on your birthday and know that that's kind of a theme for the year. That's the energy that you're carrying with you. So it's pretty potent. Okay. I will see you in July. Have a wonderful month. Bye, Geminis.